Hello and welcome back to the Olympic Circuit. I am Adam and I am joined by.
Zach.
All right, and Zach, what are we here to talk about today?
We're going to be talking about the Batman movies, the trilogy, not the other ones, not the older ones, or the new ones.
The Dark Knight trilogy.
Yes.
Yeah, from Christopher Nolan. We're here to talk Christopher Nolan today.
Yes.
So, what are your for opening ceremonies? What are your just general thoughts on this trilogy?
This trilogy, I enjoy the trilogy a lot. It's probably in my top movies. Like I guess if I were to group them together, then they'd just be my top five for sure. I like Christopher Nolan a lot. I very much enjoy Batman. He's definitely my favorite superhero.
Agreed.
These movies have done it for me, I think. Also playing some of the Batman video games when I was younger. So I definitely am very positive toward these movies. I enjoy them a lot, and they're like something I can easily rewatch. We just watched the Batman Begins one, which was good, even though it was the first one. So
yeah. I totally agree. Batman is definitely my favorite superhero ever. These movies are so good, and I'm glad you mentioned like your ranking. I'm actually going to ask you in a second about ranking a couple rankings with this franchise, but I agree. I love the movies. Like I'm always like, let's go to the movies. But there are a few movies that I distinctly remember exactly where I was when I saw them the first time. And for The Dark Knight, I actually didn't like superhero movies when I was younger, which is surprising. Surprising since I love them so much now.
Yeah.
The Dark Knight was actually the first one that I actually really watched. My cousin took me to see it, and I was kind of iffy. I'd never seen Batman Begins, and I was like, I don't know about this. And it was incredible. Like I remember exactly where I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. So a special place in my heart, this franchise, because it kind of got me into superhero movies in general. So getting back to your rankings, you mentioned that this series is pretty high on your ranking for movies.
Yeah.
Where does it rank in terms of superhero trilogies? So we've had a lot of these lately, like Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, the original Spider-Man movies, the original X-Men movies. Where does it rank for you? Is it like the top or
easy? No, it's easy. It's number one.
Easy. All right.
Batman. Yeah, Batman. I'd say behind Interstellar is probably like my favorite movie series. Movies themselves. We group them all together. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I agree. I think Captain America is probably number two for me, and it's pretty close because I think one of these Dark Knight trilogy films I think would be 6th out of 6 for me if I compared those two franchises. But Dark Knight is so much better than anything I've ever seen. So I would give it the best superhero trilogy, but not by too much. And what about now? We're gonna rank Batman. Where does Christian Bale rank for you in terms of Batman? So we've got Adam West from the '60s television show. You've got Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, George Clooney, Christian Bale, Ben Affleck. Where does he rank for you? Is he number one? Is he the worst?
I don't know if I've seen too many of the other Batman actors. I've seen the Adam West one, which I did enjoy. I mean, I remember enjoying it, so I don't know if I watched it now. Like I actually have it with me here, but I haven't seen it in a while still. But I enjoy the cartoony aspect of it. Obviously, it's not like it's very much less serious than this acting job.
For sure.
But it is still enjoyable. But I would definitely say Christian Bale did a very good job. But who knows? We have the new Batman coming out, so maybe he could top.
Yeah, we actually just talked about that. The Robert Pattinson Batman is coming out in March, I believe. I think personally that's going to be my number one. When I see it,
send it right now.
I'm so excited for that film.
Yeah.
But if we're going on right now, I would actually say Bale's probably number 2 for me. I think Ben Affleck, I really enjoyed. Batfleck, I think he was in, Superman versus Batman: Dawn of Justice. I really did not enjoy. I thought that was a pretty poorly crafted film, and Justice League was an abomination. So I would have liked to see him get a chance to be in a good movie like these. But I think he's the best. But I think Bale's number 2.
So you thought he stood out from, even though the movies didn't.
He was like the one shining spot of those. Him and Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman was really good too. But Superman was not.
Yeah. I haven't seen those movies, so I don't know.
I did not enjoy that movie.
Yeah.
Very much so. Did not enjoy that movie.
Very good.
Maybe we'll do a podcast on it someday. Rant about how.
Or maybe.
Okay, so now we're gonna jump to the individual movies. We're gonna start with Batman Begins. So what are your overall thoughts on Batman Begins? We literally just got done watching.
Yeah.
About 5 minutes ago. So what are your thoughts on the film?
Yeah. Overall thoughts. Movie I enjoy the origin of Batman. I don't mind seeing him as a child. I don't mind the child actor. I feel like he did an all right job. I don't mind. I like the way that they portrayed his father. His mom didn't get a whole lot of scene.
No, she never does.
I don't think she said any words.
No.
I don't think she said any words, but I like the origin of it. I liked to see how he initially started on a worse route, and then how that led him to where he is, and I like how just it brought about the all the gear he got, and how that all worked with working with Fox and all that.
Yeah.
I love Alfred.
Alfred.
Yeah.
My guy.
So it's definitely an enjoyable movie. I like plot good with kind of a twist in how it turned. Scarecrow's interesting, but
Scarecrow's very interesting.
Yeah, overall good movie, I'd say.
Yeah, I would agree. I actually went into this movie. I hadn't seen Batman Begins in quite a while, been a few years, and I'd always ranked it as kind of the worst of the three for me. It always fell kind of below the other two, and then after watching it a couple times this week, I think it moved up for me. I think I really enjoyed it a lot more. I really appreciated the origin story more of Batman. Some of my favorite stuff, or my favorite stuff of the movie, is before he becomes Batman. He's just on his character journey. I like that a lot. A couple things I didn't like. The suit kind of looks wonky. Not gonna lie.
His neck is
bulky.
There's no head and neck ratio change.
It's not sleek. Just looks a little wonky to me. They definitely kind of find their stride as the franchise goes, but I don't think they hit it here. And the Wayne murders, I know it's an important part of his story. I understand that. I get that. I have seen it so many times now in so many different movies. Superman versus Batman, that's the beginning. And it's even worse than this one. I blame Bruce for the deaths. Suck it up. Sit through the opera, Bruce. Come on.
Bruce's fault.
You're old enough at this point. You can sit through an opera.
Look at the bats.
Look at the bats. I don't love that scene. I don't know. There's something about the Wayne murders. I'm like, I get it. They're dead. I know. But overall, I really enjoyed the movie. So we're gonna break down each film with scenes, medals for the top scenes. So how about your bronze medal for Batman Begins? What scene do you think is the third best in this film?
For Batman Begins, I would say it would be the shipyard scene when they have those big container things. They're transporting all the drugs in the stuffed animals. Batman, I think this is the first time he really starts bringing into his vigilante. It's not fully together. He still has the ski mask, I think, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a good scene, and seeing how he's using the fear that he's embracing that and bringing out on the Falcone and his guys.
Yeah.
And then ends up strapping Falcone to a light, which is probably burning hot. So I don't know why he
definitely burned a lot.
He definitely toasted like a bug going, or like a moth going into a lamp. But but it seemed like he was just fine line on that lamp. But I enjoyed that scene. I think it was a good first transition to him becoming who he is.
Yeah, I actually agree. I had the shipyard scene as the bronze medal for this movie. I enjoy it. It gets the action and it gets the fear of what he's going for. And it's really the first time you see Batman. He seems more realized. Like when he's fighting Ra's al Ghul in the beginning, in training and stuff, and even when he sneaks in on Gordon and puts the stapler to the back of his head, he's still kind of not quite there yet. It feels like, but this feels like the beginning of Batman. his first scene. So
Yeah.
I really enjoy that.
Mhm. Bronze.
So bronze medal for that scene for sure. So silver medals. I'm going with when he saves Rachel after she's been poisoned by Scarecrow,
Yes.
and continuing that through kind of a longer scene from that moment to when they're flying on the rooftops with the car with the Batmobile, and then through the party scene where the log lands on him after the fire's been set. So that kind of whole, it's a longer scene. It's probably like 12 minutes or so. But that whole scene is my silver medal. I really enjoy that. It's fun to see him riding on the rooftops and just and apparently seemingly killing a bunch of cops. Like there's no way these cops.
Yeah, those cars were flipping.
They're flipping over barriers.
Traumatic damage going on.
And he's throwing bombs and just.
But he doesn't have to. He's not killing them. He's not saving them.
It's like Dobby in Harry Potter. He's like, I never meant to kill, just maim or seriously injure. Like he's doing some damage, but that's fun. And I think the party scene when he delivers that speech where he's telling everybody to get out, you all suck, you sycophantic suck ups. I enjoy that too.
That's a good scene.
Yeah, I think we get the best of both worlds in that scene where we get a lot of Batman and we get a lot of Bruce Wayne, and that dichotomy of those two. So that's why I enjoy it. But what is your silver medal?
I would say it is the very end scene. Just it's fairly simple. It's just what Rachel says to him, which I think transfers very well. It reflects very clearly. She says something along the lines of Bruce Wayne being the mask, being the real mask, and then Batman being Bruce's true self.
Yeah.
So it kind of flips it around. Makes a lot of sense. It's and like going to the party scene. It's like almost hard to watch because he's like making himself look bad, but he's doing it for the good, and everyone just like no one likes him, or he's making people not like him, but he's doing it for the good of the people, even though they don't realize it, which continues to transfer into like the Dark Knight and movies like that. So I definitely really enjoyed that scene. Yeah,
that's an interesting. It's kind of like the whole crux of the trilogy is like Bruce, is he more Batman or is he more Bruce?
Yeah.
Like, who is the real hero? So yeah, you pointed that out right as you said it. I thought that was a great observation. But that's kind of like the thesis statement almost for the whole series.
Yeah.
All right. So how about your gold medal? What's the best scene of this film?
Gold. We got. I had the second meeting. So the first time that Scarecrow meets Batman would be when they're in that like little children's room or whatever with the toys, lights them on fire, gets up, comes back, sees Scarecrow again with his goons, and it's where they're underneath the asylum, I think, and they're dumping the chemicals into the water.
Yep.
And I like how he gives him a taste of his own medicine, sprays him. Batman's looking wacky.
Yeah, he looks. I don't even know.
I like that. I like that. And then it's sort of creeping into that scene where he's saving Rachel, but not. I'm not including the part where he's driving and getting back to the Batcave, but just more of like when he brings her up, he's telling Gordon, he's like she needs this antidote, and then he calls in the bats with a little squeaky noise or whatever that was.
Yeah, a little high pitched frequency.
And then he says he's up to get I really enjoyed that scene. It also reflects on just like how Scarecrow is like he's a good like he can think of evil ideas, but he's not like he can't fight himself. He's like kind of a coward, but he's like
he's not a big physical threat to that.
No.
For sure.
But he can do a lot of other damage. But yeah. That's about it for gold. What about you?
All right. My gold for this scene or for this film is the court scene at the beginning with Joe Chill in the hearing.
Joe Chill.
I really love that scene. I think it's very subtle and it's not very long. But I think you learn a lot about Bruce in that moment. He's there to kill him. He's gonna be the executioner and kill Joe Chill after he walks free. And which I think is a big crux of the whole thing, where he keeps telling Ra's al Ghul, I'm not an executioner.
Yep.
And I think it's really cool to see that the mirror image when he was trying to be the executioner. And that kind of sets him on his path to become Batman. And Rachel's like, your father would be ashamed, you're a coward. It kind of puts him on the right track to becoming Batman, and kind of just makes him look inward to who he really is and who he wants to be. He thinks of himself.
Yeah.
So I enjoy that scene, and it's kind of like when you see it the first time, it's a shock that someone else kills Churchill. Nothing.
Yeah, whoever that was.
Yeah, some random
Seemed to
lady,
be some lady. Yeah.
and that kind of snaps Bruce. Like, holy, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my gold scene. So yeah, so that's Batman Begins. I think we both really like it a lot. But now we're gonna go into the big one, The Dark Knight.
Dark Knight.
Greatest superhero movie ever made?
Why not? I'd call it that. It's really good.
What's your top 5? Give me your 5 top superhero movies ever. Off the top of your head.
Dark Knight,
I did not ask you this before we started.
Spider-Man Homecoming, maybe.
That's a good one.
One of the Avengers. I don't know. There's maybe Avengers Endgame. It's
a fun one.
Yeah. That's 3.
You can stop at 3.
I'll stop at 3.
I didn't ask you beforehand, so I'm gonna screen it out. I wrote a list of my own down. These are not my favorite superhero movies. These are just the ones I think are the best.
Okay.
The best made. I had Logan at number 5.
Okay.
Definitely not one of my 5 favorite, but I think just the way it's made is incredible.
Yeah.
I had Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, the animated movie, at number 4. The emotion that movie hits me with is incredible. I can never. I'm always surprised. Avengers Infinity War, I had number 3. I think the way that they were able to bring all those characters together into one story and to have the villain win, which is so interesting to me, that the heroes don't win in the end. I think that's amazing. I had The Incredibles at number 2. I think that film is
that's a good movie.
That film is just perfect. Flawless.
Yeah.
From like beginning
to
end, that movie is flawless to me. And then I had The Dark Knight number 1. The
acting.
I don't even know what to say. The Dark Knight is just so good.
Yeah.
So what are your overall thoughts on The Dark Knight before we jump into scenes for this film? General
clearly the Joker is really good.
Yes, and we're gonna dive into that deep.
Heath Ledger, yeah, he goes all in. He really I think really makes the movie. Obviously you need Bruce Wayne, you need to replace him.
Christian
Bale, yeah. You need these other characters, but he really makes the movie.
Yeah, he does.
Stand out and makes like all the good scenes are like always like involving him. So it's
yes.
So I think it's really what makes it a standout movie. And again, it's another movie that you can just watch again and again, and you can always like find new things, or you can just enjoy it. Like it's just always something you can enjoy. I feel like you can even like watch it a couple times, like twice in a row. Like,
I've done that.
It's still good.
I've done that for sure.
Yeah.
This movie, really, you said it, the Joker. Like that's all you really need to say. This movie he is such a tour de force in this film that when we were talking about scenes for the medals section, we didn't even discuss any. We took the scenes with the Joker and we're like, these are obviously the ones we're going to use. It was difficult to find other scenes. I think you found one that you liked, but it was difficult to find really any scenes without him in it that stood out. And I think Bale does a lot better as Bruce Wayne and Batman in this film. I think he's more realized now that he's had some time to be in that position. I think the supporting characters were great. Jim Gordon, all of Alfred, Fox. I think they all kind of realize their potential in this film. It's a great film. We're going to go in depth with it. How about, are there any negative things with this film? Are there any things that you don't like The Dark Knight?
There's one thing that I include in the top 3 scenes, which I think the scene is great, but I think the quote doesn't make much sense to me.
Okay, which quote is that?
If it was flipped around, it would make a lot more sense. I've written it down. So because it's when Gordon says Batman's running away, police are coming.
Yep.
He says, because he's the hero Gotham deserves, not the one it needs right now. So he's saying that Gotham deserves a hero, but it's not the one they need right now. Which I think it just be flipped around. It doesn't make any sense at all. Like Gotham treats Gotham is kind of a wreck, and they treat Batman poorly. They treat Bruce Wayne poorly. Even though he's doing the right thing. So I think it should be because he's the hero Gotham needs, not the one they deserve, which I think would make a lot more sense.
Yeah, Gotham is depicted as this corrupt city that is loaded with supervillains. I mean, my God, they've produced mass supervillains.
Oh yeah, no, they're great at doing that. Yeah.
So I completely agree. It's kind of like the Mandela effect. I think that's what it is, right? Like where a group of people think it's one thing, but it really was another.
Actually,
I think it's the Mandela effect, because we both, when we were sitting talking about it, we both said, "Oh, well, the quote is he's the hero Gotham needs, but not the one it deserves."
Mm-hmm.
And we were both convinced it was that.
Yeah.
And then we realized, that's not it. It's the other way around. So I think maybe a Mandela effect. I wonder if it's happened to other people.
Yeah.
Where they just assume that quote is the other way.
It should be.
For me, the funeral parade scene after the police commissioner, it's a fine scene. It's fun with Batman when he's like doing detective stuff because he's the world's greatest detective. That's fun. The security, which gets to a bigger picture of security in Gotham.
Mm-hmm.
No one is IDing these war people who the veterans that are lining the street with the guns. No one is IDing them. One officer that's working with Joker, his tag is Rachel Dawes.
Oh, really?
Clearly not Rachel Dawes in there. What are we doing?
You never know.
We're not. There's a crazy psychopathic murderer on the loose in Gotham killing elected officials, and we're just letting anybody with a gun and a uniform line the streets. Like, what are we doing, Gotham?
That is true.
That bugs me. I don't enjoy that. It always just befuddles me how Joker and that guy got there. And then Rachel. I don't like Rachel in this film. The recasting, I didn't look into it. I don't know why it was recast. I do not think Maggie Gyllenhaal was better than the original. I think the original was way better.
Yeah, I prefer the original.
I would have preferred Maggie Gyllenhaal not be in this. I'm sure she's a fine actress. Would have preferred her not in this. And I just don't like the character. I think she's very whiny. I wasn't all that upset when she died. I was kind of glad Batman got to Harvey instead, because I'd much rather have Harvey live than her. So didn't like that. And I think that leads to a bigger issue with maybe all Nolan films. Female characters are not portrayed well, or at all, in Nolan films.
Maybe.
There is a theory from Screen Junkies, shout out to Screen Junkies, where every Nolan film, the wife is dead of the protagonist. He's a dead wife or dead girlfriend. This film, the Batman Begins, Rachel's basically the only female character in the movie, except the mom, who's dead in 2 minutes.
Yep.
Rachel's basically the only female in this movie, dead. And then we'll get to Dark Knight Rises, but Anne Hathaway as Catwoman is good. She's basically the only woman in the film except Talia al Ghul, and she dies. So representation, I don't think is great in these films with females.
Sure.
But it sounds like I don't like the film. I love this film, but just trying to point out some of the negatives that I found.
Yeah.
So let's get into scenes. What is your bronze medal scene for this film?
Bronze medal scene for Dark Knight is actually the scene I was just talking about, where so what had occurred is Two-Face had just died, but no one in the city realizes that he's turned evil.
Yep.
And they're coming and they're gonna blame it all on Batman. They're gonna. Yeah. And but that's what needs to happen in order for Batman's plan to keep going on, just to protect the city.
Yeah, to provide hope to Gotham that the best of them wouldn't be turned
the White Knight
evil.
Yeah. Even though he did. I put this as bronze because I like the scene. I think it's a really good scene. It just would make so much more sense if they flipped the quote around. He's the hero Gotham needs, not the one they deserve. Not the other way around.
I definitely agree with that.
But I think it's a very cool scene. It gives me chills when he's running away, and then he says that. So that's my bronze.
And I think that goes along with one of the biggest positives I have. I love the theme of this film, whereas you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain, which that's like the thesis statement for this film individually.
Yeah.
And I think that scene sums it up perfectly, where Harvey Dent died. Obviously, he died after he became a villain. Like he lived long enough. If he had died and Rachel had lived, he would have died a hero.
Yeah.
But he lived long enough to see himself become the villain.
Yeah.
And so Batman's plan was, we have to fix this. No one knows yet. I can be this. I can kill these people because I can be whatever Gotham needs me to be.
Yeah.
So I do think that's a great scene. My bronze medal is the opening bank heist.
Good one.
I think that scene is awesome. It's one of the best cold opens I've ever seen to a movie, where it's just you are just thrown in. Like the opening image of the movie is Joker holding the clown mask, and you're back to, and it just jumps you in right away. You have no idea what's going on.
No.
And these clowns are killing each other, and you're like, what is going on? These bank robbers are murdering each other. This does not seem like a very well organized plan. And then it's like, oh, Joker did it.
Yeah.
It's anarchy. It's chaos, which is his driving force. Is chaos.
Then the bus.
Yeah, I killed the bus driver. The bus, and then just dead. I love that scene. I think it's awesome. It's a great way to get into the film.
Yeah.
Introduce you to Joker and realize he doesn't really have a plan. He's just he just does things, as he says. So that's my bronze. Anarchy. My silver is the Dent transfer scene. So he is just taking the fall. He's announced that he is Batman, even though he's not. And they're transferring him to a different police station. They've got the 18-wheeler. They've got all these armored SUVs. The whole SWAT team basically is there. And Joker comes along and ruins it all. And this scene, I think, is so awesome. You get the iconic 18-wheeler flip when Batman like shoots the thing, and then Joker's like, whoa. And then he's like,
sick.
I like this job. And
yeah,
I just think
he's stumbling.
Yeah, he stumbles. He's like firing the guns. He can't even stand up straight.
Yeah.
I think the scene is so incredible. It's such a thrilling action scene, and the score is awesome.
Oh, Hans Zimmer.
Hans Zimmer.
You've done it again.
Every Nolan score is amazing, but everything about it, and you see Batman, and you get Commissioner Gordon returning from the dead, coming back when he unveils himself, and he's like, "We got you." He's the one who puts Joker away until he escapes.
Yeah.
But I that scene, I just love it. I'm in for the whole 10 minutes or whatever it's on. I'm just glued to the TV whenever it's on. So what is your silver medal?
So I'm actually going to go with the scene where there's the two, I think it's oil or some sort of flammable material, and Batman has to choose between Rachel or
Harvey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where he's choosing there, and Rachel's kind of annoying in the scene, but still, I think it's a really good just scene where she has to choose. It's last minute,
and he chooses Rachel.
Yeah, he chooses Rachel,
but Joker manipulated him, of course, because he's a Joker.
Yeah,
and flipped the addresses so he knew Batman would go save Harvey because he needed Harvey.
And the last scene where Rachel's trying to say some last words, and then boom.
I wonder what she's gonna say there. I've watched it a couple times, and I've tried to.
Yeah,
I have no idea what she's gonna say. Probably something stupid. But
it might have been related to the note that she gave Batman later, maybe. But anyway, a good scene. Obviously you're confused when he's going for Harvey, and he finds Rachel, and then.
Yeah, that is kind of like a shocking moment when the door bursts open, and you're like, "Oh, they got to Harvey," and it's like, "Oh no!" And that's when you know, like, Rachel's done.
Yep,
she's not surviving this.
Yeah. So that'd be my silver.
Nice. And what about your gold?
Gold, I really like the nurse scene where Joker's dressed up as the nurse. Very, very interesting scene. He really sparks the evil in Harvey, turning him into Two-Face.
Yeah.
Basically just setting him off to start more mayhem, which he does in that taxi or whatever that is.
Yep.
And then like the walk away scene where he's walking away and he's like trying to blow up the hospital, which I think I heard was like it was supposed to blow up initially,
Improvised, yeah.
But then like he was like pressing it, but it just like fit so well.
Yeah, it
You
didn't.
know?
Yeah, when they were on set, it didn't actually
Yeah.
rig at first, and he was just, and the whole thing with him fiddling with it was
Yeah.
just improvised.
Yeah, and I just love how Joker's like very versatile and like does all these different just like crazy things. Like he dresses up as a nurse and goes in,
Yeah,
and he just has a plan to start destruction. So
yeah.
it's
I think that's a
my
great
favorite
scene. Um,
gold.
and I'm going to touch on that later too when we talk about Joker
Mhm.
in its own section. That again gets to my security issues with Gotham.
Mhm.
How is he disguising himself as a nurse?
Doesn't look like a nurse.
And B, Harvey doesn't realize it's Joker until he takes off the mask, because like he's standing there with the charts, and Harvey's just like laying there, like dying, whatever he's doing.
Yeah.
And then Joker shoots the guard. Harvey still is not reacting. And then when he takes off the nurse mask that we've all been wearing for the last year and a half, then he starts to freak out because he's like, "Oh, it's the Joker."
I should have realized earlier.
That stretches credulity to me that he did not realize Joker. This is the Joker. He's got white paint on his face.
Probably should have realized. Other people should have realized. He probably maybe there's connections. Maybe he just I don't know.
Yeah, that just bugs me that Harvey like doesn't realize until it's like, what are you doing? Like, I understand half your face is blown off, but the other half should be able to tell you. I do love that scene, but it's just like, what are you doing?
Sure.
That's a good scene though. I enjoy that scene, and it shows the Joker's motivation, like that he really. It's where you kind of sympathize with the Joker, at least I did, where I was like, maybe he has a point because he's not doing this just to kill people. Because clearly, I mean, he's willing to let Harvey shoot him in the head right there, die.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
His bigger point is that this is a corrupt city that does not deserve Batman, no matter what Gordon says.
Nope.
This is a corrupt city that needs to be fixed, and I think that scene really shows his true colors. Is that he's not in this just to kill. Like he wants to kill people, he enjoys that, but there is a bigger point to this. Kind of like Thanos. There's a bigger point to what he's doing.
Yeah, there's good. Oh, like old. Where there's good in the process.
Yeah. It's not we live in a world that really isn't black and white. It's gray.
Yeah. Ambiguity.
Yeah, that's a good scene. My gold scene is the interrogation scene with Joker in the holding cell, and then Batman or Gordon comes
Closes
in.
the door.
Yeah, Gordon comes in. He's like, I'm gonna need a cup of coffee. And he's like, good cop, bad cop. Not exactly. And then Batman just shoves his head down on the table.
Mm-hmm.
And that whole scene, or most of it, is improvised by Heath Ledger.
Really?
He went pretty off script on that. Just adding to the greatness of what Heath Ledger did with this role.
Mm.
I just love that interrogation scene because you really get, like the end scene, Batman and Joker are fighting, and the 18-wheeler chase, they're fighting.
Mm.
But this scene, they just sit and talk, and their philosophies are so against one another, and I love it.
Yeah.
I could watch a whole 2.5-hour movie of just them sitting at a table
talking
and Joker trying to convince him that he is just like him. And I think Batman honestly realizing a little bit that I think there's a bit of Batman that's like, maybe I'm not so different than this guy. We both want to change Gotham. One is just more radical than the other. But I love that. And then when Batman starts to beat him up, that's great. I just love every second of it.
He doesn't mind. It's like he's not afraid to die.
Yeah, he doesn't care. He does not care at all. He challenges Batman. He's like, you're gonna have to break your one rule. You're gonna have to kill me if you want to save Gotham. And Batman won't do it.
No.
And that gets him into trouble a lot. But if he just kills him right there, I mean, how much trouble does he save the city? I mean, my God.
I mean, he basically killed Ra's al Ghul.
He
didn't save him.
Yeah, I don't have to kill you, but I don't have to save you. It's like, well, that's kind of like if I saw a burning building and I saw like a person trying to crawl out, and I was like, well, I don't have to go help you. So I mean, I guess I didn't kill him, but like, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that wasn't nice.
In a way. Yeah.
So that's The Dark Knight. I think we both agree it's the greatest superhero movie of all time.
Yes.
Fantastic. How about the sequel, Dark Knight Rises? What are your thoughts on the third and final movie of this trilogy?
Yeah, I think how I put it in my head and how I interpret like the general consensus to be is that like Dark Knight is number 1, Rise is number 2, Begins 3. Like they're all good, but that's like the order of it, and I don't know if that's just like how I think of it. like I think it's definitely Dark Knight is definitely number one. But so Rises, I think really good movie again. Like I really like Bane as a character. I like how they portrayed him as like they made him more realistic and like in like some of the games or the cartoons, like he's like juiced up and he like becomes like really big.
Yeah, he's like an alien.
Yeah. He's like this wrestler that becomes like juiced up with venom or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And so it's cool how they kind of like made him more realistic in this, and just made him swole and with a cool mask. But I like how they made his origin and then like related him to the daughter of Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah.
And the pit, and Batman being down there and how him getting out of there, as well as Bane. And Gotham is probably in the worst state it has ever been in
which is saying a lot
in all three of the movies. It's been some pretty bad places.
Yeah.
But Gotham is at the end of the line, but it's definitely cool movie how it all comes about.
Yeah.
So
I would agree with you that this is the one, like I watched The Dark Knight the most of all these films.
Yeah.
I would say Batman Begins the least, and this is I watch these a lot more than Batman Begins.
Yeah.
But this week, rewatching these films, I actually found myself liking Batman Begins a little more, and liking this one a little less. But I think it's really good. I love the symbolism where in Batman Begins, one of the first images we see is Bruce falling in the well, and this movie really brings his character arc full circle when he climbs out of the pit, because when he's in the well as a kid, he can't climb out. It's his dad that comes to save him and bring him up. In this movie, we see Bruce is the one who gets himself out of the pit and brings himself up. I think that just shows the full circle character arc that he has gone on through these films. I really love that. Bane, I agree, is awesome. And I think it's awesome because we haven't seen Bruce really go up against a physically dominant force before. Like you mentioned, Scarecrow is not a fighter.
No,
he uses
not at all.
hallucinogens.
Not at all.
Joker can fight for sure. Like he can go hand to hand with Batman, but I would still pick Batman 10 out of 10 times if there were no weapons involved.
Yeah.
Ra's al Ghul is probably a draw. They seem pretty even. This is 10 out of 10. Bane broke his back in this film.
Yeah.
So it's fun to see Batman go up against someone he can't just beat to a pulp.
Yeah.
And every time Bane is on the screen, like the way Nolan shoots it, and just you get a sense of dread. You're like, oh my God, what is Bane going to do? Like, what neck is he going to snap in this scene?
Yeah.
He's just such a menacing figure.
And he speaks so like wisely and kind of like calmly.
He's very calm. Yeah. In the plane scene, the opening, where he's just like so calm and just it's incredible. I think the film, I would have liked it. I understand that they went back to the League of Shadows to kind of go full circle. I would have liked it if it was just Bane as the big bad, and maybe he was like the successor to Ra's al Ghul instead of like having him be the villain for 90% of the film, and then Ra's al Ghul's daughter comes along. There wasn't much time to digest and really evaluate that. I would have liked it if it was just Bane.
Yeah.
So that the physical inconsistencies too, I think, because we see Bruce as a recluse at the beginning. He hasn't been in the world for like 8 years. He has no cartilage in his knees, the doctor says. He's got the hips of like an 80-year-old. He's got all these problems. And then just like that, he's like back to Batman. And then Bane breaks his back. And then not too much time later, he's like jumping around the pit and like at most, because it was 5 months that Bane said like the bomb's going to go off in 5 months. So at most he had 5 months to recover from a spinal fracture, and not just recover, but like jump out of the pit.
That's a fairly serious.
It's like you're dead. Like a lot of people would just die from a spinal.
Spinal cord.
And then when they're jumping in the pit and they've got the rope around them, and they jump and they fall, I feel like your neck is getting
Falling.
snapped, or your back is breaking again when you're free
Yeah.
falling 300 feet and the rope is snapping you. I feel like you're dead.
Yeah, that would make sense.
So that kind of, I don't like that. It's like, what are we talking about? But
Yeah.
overall, I do enjoy the movie. I think it's fun. Bane makes it awesome.
Mhm.
I love Robin. I think he's a great addition.
Hmm.
And I love Catwoman. Anne Hathaway is like one of my celebrity crushes. Love her, and this film is just awesome.
It's good.
I
Good job,
could,
yeah.
I could watch an entire film of just her.
Hmm.
So what is your bronze medal for scenes in this film?
My bronze medal would be the stock exchange area where Bane and his fellows come in, light it up. I think I think I really just enjoy, like, again, going back to Bane's like calmness, like, and how he like speaks. And he just says, "Time to go mobile," and then they just zoom out of there.
Yeah.
It's just a very like memorable scene, even if it's like not like very short. Like just that one little quote.
Yeah.
I feel like I just enjoy that scene.
Yeah, that's a fun scene. I have that on my medals too.
Yeah.
That's a good scene. My bronze is the plane scene. Basically the opening scene of the film when these people capture the doctor, Pavel, and they've got other people with him too. He's like, we're not taking passengers, so this isn't a commercial plane. And then you realize it's Bane when they're trying to get information out of him. And he's actually asking about Bane. And then Bane is there and he unmasks him. And I think that scene is visually stunning to see.
Yeah.
Like through the air. And they did that all,
Snaps.
I believe, from what I've read, they did it all practically. They were in the air doing these stunts. They were in real planes doing this craziness. And so the way they blow up the plane and they take control of it, I just find so intriguing, the visual aspect of it. And we get to meet Bane, which I love Bane. His voice is so cool, the way the mask is. And you just get the sense, and even Hans Zimmer with the score, as soon as the ski mask comes off, and you see Bane, the score just like hits you. And it's like, oh, such dread just fills you. You're like, oh my God, how is Batman ever gonna beat this guy? So that's my bronze. My silver is the stock, like you said, the stock exchange heist. I love that. It's so fun. It's a different setting than we're used to in the Batman scenes. You get a real sense of Gotham and what's going on in the city. And I couple that scene with the highway chase where Batman returns after like 8 years, I think he's been gone. He comes back and you've got the cop who like shoots at him. He's like, I'm sorry. And then the other cop is like, put that away before you hurt yourself. And you got the young cop and the old cop add a lot of comedic timing to it. And you just see all Batman's new toys, like the plane and the bike that flips the wheels. That's really cool. And just going after Bane and his guys. He doesn't actually get Bane here, but I like that scene a lot. I think it's fun. What is your silver medal?
My silver medal would be the fights between Batman and Bane. Not the final fight.
Yep.
But
down in the tunnels.
Down in the tunnels, where Bane obviously shows his physical superiority in that moment, breaks his back.
Yeah.
Again, going back to what you said, like, you know, all the other villains, Scarecrow, it's just a joke, which I think, you know, this you can really reflect it all from when he's riding on the horse and they're spraying all the fear gas, and then he gets zapped by the taser by Rachel. It's just like like and then he's riding like away.
He stays on the horse somehow, and he's like laying on his back.
He's like stuck on the horse.
Bucking him off.
Yeah, it's just like you know, he's really just a weak character. But and then, you know, again, Joker, he's good. He can have some physical ability, but, you know, he needs some help. And then Bane just needs no help. Can easily conquer over him. But then eventually it's taken down. But
Bane breaks his back. I'm gonna jump in and do my gold because it's that exact scene. My gold is the tunnel fight. I love it, and not just because it is physical and brutal, which I like. Like, I enjoy that. But you also get a lot of callbacks to Batman Begins. Can you just like technical difficulties? Just hit end. Or swipe up the red button. There we go. Sorry about that, folks. We not only get Bane, kicking him and beating him and breaking his back, but we also get a lot of callbacks to Batman Begins, where he says theatricality is used by the uninitiated, and he talks about a lot of things that Ra's al Ghul talks about, which is a hint foreshadowing to the turn that Bane is linked to Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah.
Excommunicated by a bunch of psychopaths should tell you Bane is formidable. I think that scene is awesome. And the bone crunching sound that they make when he breaks his back is jarring.
Vicious.
Yeah. What about you? What's your gold medal scene?
I would take. I think you had this as your bronze, maybe, with the plane scene.
Yep.
I think I just really enjoyed that. Yeah, like how they reveal Bane, and then how, it's very visually stunning. And then like when they rip the plane, in half.
That's awesome.
And then pull them away. I just really, it's just like it's a good starter for the whole thing. I think they always start the Batman movies really well. But I thought it was really good. Like a very enjoyable scene, just to like really get you into it, introduce you to Bane, and then just show you like what this movie's gonna be all about. So
that's a good point. Both Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises have incredible scenes, just like
start off
cold opens off the bat.
Yeah.
So I think we both really like this movie.
Yeah.
So now we're gonna get into medals kind of overall for the whole franchise. So let's start with, we got a couple here. So supporting character medals. Who gets your bronze for the third best supporting character in the entire franchise?
Third best, I'm giving that to Fox.
Okay, Lucius Fox, played by Morgan Freeman.
Right, Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
Morgan. He's like the weapons guy. He's like the dealer for Batman, providing him all the gear. He's always like, he's very helpful. He had the sky hook.
Yep.
And all that. He's always there to help producing the antidote in the first movie. Very helpful, very enjoyable character. He's like, Morgan Freeman is always just a good actor. Like he makes him a very like enjoyable person to watch and listen to. So really, I enjoyed his part. He gets the bronze.
Nice. I went with Jim Gordon, police commissioner, or police officer first and commissioner. I really enjoyed him. The other two, I had more fun with their scenes ahead of him, so that's why he gets the bronze. But I think he might be one of the most important characters to Batman. The way he helps, like he's the one who drives the tank in the first one to blow up the tunnel. He's the one that catches the Joker initially in Dark Knight. He's the one that defuses the bomb in Dark Knight Rises. He does a lot of stuff that is pretty crazy for just a normal guy to do. He doesn't have any powers or anything, but he's doing a lot of stuff that's very dangerous and admirable. So I give him my bronze medal. My silver medal, I agree with you, is Fox. I think whenever he's on screen, it's awesome. It's fun. Morgan Freeman is having a blast with his character, clearly. He gives Batman all the toys. He creates the antidote. He's the one that works the sonar thing in Dark Knight. And he even gets a little action in Dark Knight Rises, a little fighting action. So I think he is my silver medalist. I love all the scenes with him. Who is your silver medalist?
I'm gonna give it to Alfred, who is obviously great character.
Yes.
Batman's I wouldn't say sidekick, but like he's just he's just his butler. That's just like what he is. But he's just like super helpful. Both in just like being supportive and just like and helping out like wherever he needs, driving Rachel to get the antidote, or just helping him out in like any like the crazy stuff he's doing, even if he like doesn't fully initially, like he's not fully on board, and then Bruce kind of brings him into it, and he like realizes it's for the good. So I give it to Alfred for my silver medal.
Who's your gold?
My gold is Gordon.
Nice.
Because of the way that he is the most helpful to Batman, like you said.
Yeah.
He he gets brought into Batman's help. Like Batman realizes that he's like one of the few, like good cops. Like initially,
Yeah.
He's trying to get his help. Gordon's unsure, but is willing to do it, and then it's willing to help Batman along the way. And even when he kind of falls out of line, because I think in Dark Knight Rises, he's kind of I think he lost his policing like abilities. Or, like he's like kind of
yeah,
out of
well,
force.
he's brought to trial once Bane takes over.
Yeah.
They they kick him out and then go to prison.
But yeah, so very supportive. I'd say Gordon.
I'm gonna go. I left Alfred off my medals, which is probably
How could you?
yeah, that's a sin. I went with Catwoman. I just Anne Hathaway, just mesmerizing in Dark Knight Rises. I can't get enough of her. I just
Meow.
yeah. Just incredible. Her fight scenes are awesome. She is such a good fighter in this film. Very gorgeous in this film. Very funny. And Bruce ends up with her at the end. So she provides the light in Bruce's life that lets him leave Batman behind. So I go Catwoman. Alfred probably, if I'm being objective, probably Alfred, but I like Catwoman.
Yeah, had to put her in there.
What can I say? All right. So now we're gonna jump to villain medals. So I'll kick this one off.
Yep.
We're gonna go bronze medal. I went Scarecrow. I know we've trashed on Scarecrow a lot and kind of made fun of him. I think I put him here because to me there was a clear top two. I think for you as well. There's a clear top two. I don't love Ra's al Ghul or Talia Ghul. I just kind of over it with them. Scarecrow is in all three films, so he gets to a recurring role in all the things. And I think his is the most fun villain, just in terms of like what he does.
Yeah,
because
true.
he trips everybody out, and really he's the one who comes up with the toxins in Batman Begins. Even though Ra's al Ghul is the main villain, it is Scarecrow who comes up with it. So I went Scarecrow bronze. What about you? Who's your bronze?
I put Ra's al Ghul. Even though I didn't like him, but Liam Neeson,
Liam Neeson's great. Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I enjoy like how like putting him in that origin. You got the flip, which is interesting, and like that he when Wayne Manor was burning to the ground, and he was like, he told Batman that like he's doing like an eye for an eye sort of thing.
Yeah.
But like in a way, but Bruce Wayne saved him. So I don't know why he's saying that, but I thought he was, he was a good mastermind behind it all. Like kind of, he was a head up over Scarecrow in a way, even though Scarecrow had a big piece of the idea, as well. But I mean, he could fight. He has this group of, or the League of Shadows, and then that's what he had, like the person who he wanted people to think was Ra's al Ghul. Yeah, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, no, I'd give him the bronze medal for that.
All right. What about your silver?
Silver, I think we both agree on this is Bane.
Yeah.
Bane, I think he does a really good job. Again, like if he's a good I think I'd agree with you. Like I would have preferred if he was just like the main villain. Like we didn't get that twist at the end of Rises where it turns out that he's just kind of like a puppet of Ra's al Ghul's daughter.
Yeah.
But I can't give him the gold just because the way that Joker's displayed that it's just so good.
Yeah, I completely agree. Bane is a silver medal. I think he does a really great job. If Joker wasn't in this franchise, I think it would be pretty hands down. Bane would be a gold medal. I think he's a great villain.
Yeah.
He's up against the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
So it's tough for him. I went Bane silver and I went Joker gold for everything we touched on. It was just incredible. You have Joker gold as well.
Yep.
So here we go. So speaking of Joker, we're gonna move in. We're gonna do a little just brief section on Joker, because I think he deserves his own part of this conversation.
He needs it.
He's just so overpowering in this film.
Yeah.
So where does he rank for you, Heath Ledger, in terms of Jokers? Like we have Cesar Romero, who is the Joker. in the television show against Adam West.
Mm-hmm.
We have Jack Nicholson, who was the first movie Joker against Michael Keaton.
Okay.
You've got Heath Ledger. Mark Hamill was the voice of the animated Joker for decades.
Mm-hmm.
Luke Skywalker voiced the Joker. Jared Leto in Suicide Squad.
Mm.
Very polarizing Joker. And then Joaquin Phoenix, who played Joker in Joker.
True.
Where does Ledger rank for you in terms of Joker?
I think I would still put him as number one. Even though, I thought Joaquin Phoenix did a really good job. Obviously that's a really good movie. It was definitely a different. It was a different type of Batman movie. I mean, Batman wasn't in it, but it was definitely a really good movie. But and then Suicide Squad Joker, Jared Leto. I mean, he was definitely like, I kind of like how they gave him like a different, just made him like a different vibe. Like he's kind of like this like mob boss sort of thing.
Yeah,
which was kind of interesting, and like he was kind of more like hip.
Yeah,
I don't want to use
sure.
that. Yeah, but
yeah, I understand.
But yeah, no, I think the way that Heath Ledger played the Joker was definitely the best that I've seen. And I think what like from what I've known is like he went kind of so into it,
Yeah,
which is what led to his suicide, unfortunately. But it's something like a cost.
Yeah.
Like you can see that in like the way he went all in the acting job. So I would give him the best spot.
Yeah, he's definitely, I think, the best, like the most electrifying performance as Joker is 100% Heath Ledger.
Yeah.
I think Joaquin Phoenix did an incredible job. And as an actor, I'm torn between which was better. Heath Ledger just did so many cool things. Like he has a thing with his tongue where he flicks his tongue a lot. Whenever he talks, he shoots his tongue out, which is improvised because the prosthetics for the scars in his face were always coming off. So he would lick it to get moisture to keep it on, which is so interesting. He took, to your point, he went so far in the role that he went so deep and came up with that kind of stuff to make the performance better, and it was incredible. I like Jared Leto's Joker. I wish there had been more of it. I think there was a lot more filmed for that movie, and they kind of just cut it a lot and kind of made his character not great. I wish we had gotten more of him because I think he could have been pretty cool. It was definitely a different take, which I was interested in.
Yeah, for sure.
Same with Ben Affleck as Batman, was a different take, which I was interested in, but I guess Hollywood just doesn't want to do different takes. They just want to do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I would go Ledger, I think slightly over Phoenix, but I think they both did a great job.
Yeah.
And to go on what you kind of said, what do you think about this role? Because Heath Ledger tragically committed suicide after finishing his role as the Joker because he went so far in. We know Jared Leto was complete method acting. He wouldn't answer to anything on set except Mr. J. Like no one could call him Jared. It was Mr. J or Joker. He gave dead rats to his co-stars. Like he was full on Joker. Joaquin Phoenix lost, I want to say 50 pounds for the role as Joker to portray like the skinny vibe he was going for.
Yeah.
What do you think it is about this character specifically that makes actors go so far into method acting, more so than any other character we've ever seen?
Yeah, I think it's definitely hard to be portrayed as really, really crazy and like insane. I think it's easy to do like kind of a cheesy portrayal.
Yeah.
Of just kind of like acting all crazy and all that.
Yeah.
So really having to go really, really portraying yourself as like insane in this way, you really have to like fully embrace it, I think. And which seems like the only way to really do that is like to kind of like just embrace yourself. Like for the full time they record, you're just like you are the Joker. Like you're not yourself, you are the Joker.
Yeah.
Which ends up with a good performance, but it can be overly mentally taxing sometimes.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. It's a difficult mindset to get into, probably.
Mm-hmm.
And I think part of it is we've just had so many Jokers. Like, I mean, I listed off 7, and that's probably not all of them. I probably missed some.
Mhm.
And I think that's why we've seen it more and more because everyone's like Heath Ledger set the bar for this role. But now like Joaquin Phoenix and Jared Leto and all them are like trying to reach this level that Ledger set that's so high. And that they're just like, well, if this is what he did to get there, I have to do this, but I have to go crazier.
Yeah.
To reach what he did. So I think just the pressure of living up to the legacy that all
True.
these actors have built, I think adds to it.
Mhm.
So he won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor for this role in Dark Knight. The first, and to my knowledge, the only superhero actor, actress to win an Academy Award. No superhero film has ever won Best Picture or anything. I don't believe any superhero actor or actress has ever won a major Academy Award, except for Heath Ledger. Do you think that if he had not passed away, do you think he would have won Best Supporting Actor? And I'll give you some of the actors he was up against. Josh Brolin, who played Thanos, world-class actor in the movie Milk, which was really good. Robert Downey Jr. was nominated for his role in Tropic Thunder, where he did blackface for that movie. Do we have Philip Seymour Hoffman in Doubt and Michael Shannon in Revolutionary Road. So do you think if he was alive, do you think he would have won? Or do you think his tragic passing kind of pushed the Academy more so to reward his performance with an Oscar?
That's a good question. You're looking at those other movies now, like haven't seen. I don't think any of them, but I don't know. Like I think it could give some like some sympathy in a way, like the passing, but I don't think that it wouldn't be deserved even with that. Like I think if he didn't pass, I feel like he would still be like a high chance to get it for sure. I would have to see that in movies, but I think he did a really good job.
Yeah, I think it definitely helped his case. I personally think he would have probably lost to Robert Downey Jr. I think a lot of people felt like that was the best supporting actor performance that year in Tropic Thunder, what he did. So I think if he hadn't died, he wouldn't have won, but I think it was deserved. I don't think it was like this person doesn't deserve it, but we're going to give it to him because they're dead. I don't think that's the case. But I do think it made people more willing to vote for him because they were like, well, he gave such a great performance, and because it was method acting and like he basically gave his life to the role, we're going to give it to him. So that's where I fall on that. All right, we got 2 more medal categories to give out. This is we're going to wrap up our Joker conversation with Joker scene medals. What is your bronze medal for Joker scenes specifically?
Bronze is going to be 18-wheeler scene when they're driving. I think they're driving like parallel to each other. Basically, Batman and his vehicle, and the huge like kind of circus 18-wheeler, which has laughter, and they wrote slaughter in or they added an S to make it slaughter and in spray paint. I think it's like just a really interesting scene. Like it's a very like enjoyable scene for me to watch. Pull out the RPG. And it's just a very very cool scene. One that I always think to when I think of the Dark Knight. So I'm a bronze.
Yeah, that 18-wheeler flipping is not kind of.
And the flip too.
My bronze is the nurse scene. As much as I just find it baffling that no one recognizes this guy in a nurse outfit, I love that scene. It gives us so much about the Joker, who he is and what he wants, and another great thing about the Joker's performance is it's not overly physical like Bane. It's a lot of just him talking. And the way he talks, I could listen to a whole movie 2 hours of just him talking. My silver is the pencil scene, which is really where we meet him in the bank heist. But the first scene we really get him to talk and stuff is this scene. He's like, "Let me show you a magic trick. I'm going to make this pencil disappear," and then puts it through the guy's skull. That's we've seen. That's an iconic scene. We see like in The Office when they dress up as Joker, Dwight's like, "Want to see a magic trick? I'm going to make this pencil disappear." Like it's referenced in other pop culture things.
Oh, sure.
So that's my silver. What about you? What's your silver medal?
Same thing. magic trick,
There we
very
go.
very iconic scene. Yeah, you see like kind of like more like the sinisterness, but also like how he kind of like takes control there. Like
Yes.
he's kind of walking in like they're like, oh, like this guy's just a clown.
Yeah.
And bam, and they're like, all right, like
Yeah.
it just like he can just do that and takes control of the room. So very good scene.
Right. What's your
Silver.
gold?
It's gonna be the nurse scene again.
Mhm.
I think best scene in the movie,
Mm.
and Joker main part of,
Yeah.
of the Dark Knight. So I give it to the nurse scene.
Yeah. Great scene. My gold is the interrogation scene. That was my gold for the whole movie. I
Mhm.
think, the improvisation of Heath Ledger is incredible in that scene.
Mhm.
And I just love him and Batman talking and fighting. I just can't get enough of it.
Yeah.
All right, so now we're gonna get into the final thing, the film medals. We're gonna rank these three films. I'll kick it off. For bronze, I came into this week with an idea of where I had him,
Mhm.
and I flipped it. I've had Dark Knight Rises initially silver, and after rewatching these movies a couple times, I'm putting Dark Knight Rises as my bronze medal.
Mhm.
I think it's still fun, it's still great, but I just think the other two are tighter films. They're better structured films. What about you? What's your bronze medal film?
Bronze is going to be Batman Begins. How about that?
Batman Begins?
Batman Begins. Yeah.
Yeah,
Batman
okay.
Begins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Reason?
Reasoning being just I enjoy Bane more
Yeah.
as a villain, and he's obviously a main focus. And Scarecrow and Ra's al Ghul, like I definitely enjoy them,
Yeah.
but I think the way that Bane's in there, and then like the way that like Gotham's really at the end of it, at the end of the line, I think I definitely like that a lot. So
And so silver is probably Dark Knight Rises, I guess.
yes, yep.
All right. Yes. My silver is Batman Begins. I love the origin story, and it just, for whatever reason, just rewatching it this week just made me like it a lot more. I can't really put my finger on why. I just enjoyed it a lot more.
Yeah.
And we both agree, gold, Dark Knight.
Yeah, for sure.
Not really much else
Sweeps
we
him.
can say about it.
No.
Yeah. It's like, yeah. So like Michael Phelps at the Olympics, it just wins everything.
Mhm.
No point in
Destroys him.
arguing. All right. Well, thanks for listening. This was the Dark Knight Trilogy podcast here on the Olympic circuit. Make sure to check out thecircuitverse.com for more great content, and go to YouTube to check out this video, and Spotify. And we will see you in our next podcast, where we're going to be doing Interstellar, also by Christopher Nolan.
Yes.
We like Christopher Nolan.
We like him a lot. He's so good.
Yeah. So I am Adam,
I'm Zach.
and thanks for listening.